Hello, everyone. Susan Gerbic here from Catnip Corners for Psychics Explained. And I have two very good friends that are here, Lara and Richard. And what we're going to do today is this is their first time that they're going to be going through a Matt Fraser video with me in discussion. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And we have a lot to get through. They have notes. And I asked them what video do they want to work on specifically, and they picked one out. And so we'll have a little discussion about that. But Lara, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm Lara Benham, Secretary of Australian Skeptics. I don't know what else to say.
Lara also participates in the Skeptic Zone podcast. My name's Richard Saunders. I'm the host and producer of the Skeptic Zone podcast and chief investigator from Australian Skeptics. I've been there for over 25 years.
Like a lifetime. I think you have a lifetime achievement award, right?
Did you know that? Did you know I won an
He
award?
hasn't got it with him.
He carries it with him. Hey, and
Yeah.
Richard, you are the leader of the group of the Greater Australian Psychic Prediction Project, which we
Yeah.
were involved in during the pandemic. And the German Skeptics, GWUP, just replicated your 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 project, and that's just
It's
freaking
very
amazing.
flattering.
I,
Yeah,
I
that
was
came
I
out.
was amazed.
That was 4 years ago we published that, believe it or not. 4 years ago. And the German skeptics have replicated it. They did a big review of psychic predictions, and they came up with a very similar, what has been called the Saunders number. And the Saunders number, if you get thousands of predictions and you boil them all down, roughly 11% you can say came true in one sense or another. The rest are either too vague or expected to happen or just completely unknown. You can't get to the bottom. But yeah, so far it's around about 11% of psychic predictions, which is no better than guessing.
Yeah, the Saunders number. I love it. I think it was great. So the Germans replicated it, which is what we want people to do that's how science is done.
Yes.
So
Yeah, so that's
I
very
was
flattering. Yeah.
excited. I just listened to the Skeptic Zone at the grocery store today, and that episode was playing, and you had Laura and Adrian read out part of
Yeah.
the article. Wonderful job, you guys. Fantastic. And I'm so proud to have been part of that in a very small way, but I just love that we did that. It was
Well,
fun.
no, don't underestimate yourself there, Susan. You're the one who suggested to me we should get an international team, and you're the one via Zoom every week who got that meeting going. So it's that project owes a lot to you personally.
Well, it was all the pandemic. I think we were
Nothing
all
else
looking for
to do.
something to do. We couldn't go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of the perfect world. You looked at 21 years, I believe, right?
Yeah, 21 years, 3,811 predictions. Now, folks, you can imagine that if you've got in front of you 3,811 predictions and you have to research each and every one, that is a huge undertaking.
Yeah, and
And
the
it took
Germans
us
used
months, it took us years.
AI.
Yeah.
They used AI.
Wow.
And we had to go do it the old-fashioned way. So
That's right.
I tell you, that's really fun. So Richard Saunders is one of the experts on psychic mediums. So this should be fascinating. You're doing investigations over there in Australia,
Yep.
and I won't reveal more than that. Oh, let's point out really quickly. It's 2025 where I sit, and it's 2026 where you guys sit.
Yeah.
We are in the future.
We're in the future. Yes. It's 2026. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's a
Everything's
new
fine.
world.
Everything's fine.
It looks a lot like 2025 here. Yeah, I must say.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that, but I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, audience out there, if you want to check out the Skeptic Zone, please do so. It's a wonderful podcast. I'm on it every once in a while, and
Yes.
it's a fantastic podcast. It's on its 900th episode, I think.
Yeah, the next episode coming out as we record will be 900, but you do reports for the Skeptics
Yeah,
Zone,
I sure
Susan.
do. I
You-
do from time to time. I
Yeah.
break news on there sometimes, which is
Yes.
a blast. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk about Matt Fraser. Now, had either of you known who Matt Fraser was before I started making a big fuss of him?
I think I maybe heard the name, but no, I hadn't seen or heard from him directly before I saw your shout out. Yeah.
I have known about him for some time, but here's the thing, they all get lost in the wash. I've known about hundreds of them over the last quarter of a century. They come and go. In 2 years, there'll be a new crop of them or somebody else we've never heard of, and the old ones fade away. It's like a revolving door of psychics, this
Yeah.
industry. I've got a file, I keep these files, of course, and you've got a copy actually somewhere. And if you look in the under psychics, you see name after name after name after name of all these people, hundreds of people who all claim they can talk with the dead. So in that respect, he's just a dime a dozen sort of guy, but he's more prominent right now.
Well, this is America's top medium. He's a New York Times bestseller, and he had a
Wow.
TV show. So I'm telling
Well,
you,
that
this
does it.
is
That
it.
does it then.
Well, he's
Has he
claiming
visited Australia?
Not that I
no,
know. Not that I
No.
no.
know.
He's been in Canada and America, and I'm excited to keep him out of Australia, New Zealand, and
He'll
UK.
probably come here. I mean, John Edward has been coming here for over 20 years. And every twice a year, and every time
Yeah.
he comes, he gets media. It's a cycle.
Well, there
And
was a time he didn't come. Do you remember that?
let me see, was that when
He
international
planned a
travel was
tour.
sort of banned?
Yeah, the whole
Like a
country was
season
locked
or something.
down. There, you weren't allowed to go in or out of the country.
That's
So
right.
he wasn't able to go then. For some reason, he had a tour planned. Now, why would you plan a tour of Australia if the country's closed and nobody
There's
can
no way he could have
public?
known.
Yeah.
There's no way he could
Well,
have
it's because his spirits didn't tell him. Don't, it's not his fault. I mean, he can only go on what the spirits are telling him. That's what they all say, by the way. Yes.
I haven't heard him say anything
We've got
actually.
a spirit cat down behind the chair here. So, hello.
Oh, well, as far as I know, there could be 40 spirit cats down there. Matt Fraser would say there's cats moving around behind you.
Or
All
German shepherds, maybe. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, the German Shepherd. What did you think of that German Shepherd clip?
I thought it was interesting for people who don't know there. Susan found two instances where he talked about a German Shepherd. Of course, what he would say is, "Oh well, because some people have German Shepherds,
It's a popular pet.
and it's a popular pet, and the spirits happen to choose these two." So
Well, he said it almost identical each time. It was a dad, and it was German Shepherd, two souls coming through, and dad was more excited about those souls, the German Shepherds, than anyone
now it's
else.
interesting you should say that because when we start watching this, there's also reference to a couple of souls, which actually
Yeah.
goes nowhere, but we'll get into that.
Okay, that's good. Okay, now so Richard, well, I asked you guys if you wanted to do one of these interviews and discuss one of these readings with me because I'm sick of doing it and I want to get other people's insight.
I'm not surprised.
I've done maybe 60 already, so I think I've gotten just about 90 videos on my YouTube channel and a playlist for Matt Fraser only. And so, as I said, he's starting to get into the dreams. The voice is starting to be there a little bit in the background. And I don't think I like that very much, but how many times can you see it? But when I said, what video do you want to do out of all of the ones that we did for this Operation Gobble Gotcha, which I can mention, I just don't want to mention any details. Why did you pick this one?
Well, for me, I mean, and I don't want to give too much away before we watch it, but at the end, I'll give everybody a much better understanding of why I thought this was an important reading. And it has to do with what you've called motivated sitters.
Mhm.
And that's a very interesting, this is people who go along to a reading not to be skeptical, but just to accept what's being told for them and to make whatever is being said fit because they're believing they're getting real information. So
Right.
this is a good example of that.
It is yeah, these people are definitely motivated. We had a little exchange, but you get these things all mixed up, all the different readings, and you insisted that this one was a hot reading. Of all of them, this is the only one you saw.
Well, let me I'm oh, it's one of those things where we can never know unless we the beans are spilt and we know for sure. If I was a betting man, I would bet on the what we were about to see, at least partially being hot. In other words, I would bet that Matt knew something. Now, after watching it a few times, he doesn't, if he does, he doesn't know very much. And a lot of what he constructs here is based on what he's been told along the way. But he gets to a critical point too quickly for my liking for a purely cold reading. But we
Yeah.
can't know. We can't know. That's what I would suspect. Well, I mean, if I was a betting man, I don't think I'd bet huge amounts on it. But ultimately, we can't know. You know,
Well,
it's
I
one of
think that you're probably, I think I know what moment you're talking about.
yeah, but it's not a case of it being either a hot reading or a cold reading. It
Mhm.
appears to me this is a cold reading assisted by a little bit of hot reading.
Well,
which
I'm looking forward to what the people in the comments will say once they hear this.
Yeah.
because
Laura, do you have
the
any?
other thing is they have the ability during the reading to type things into the Q&A. So they've put their hand up within the session virtually to let him know that they're up for a reading. But people were also typing things into the Q&A, which nobody could see except from, I assume, Matt and his team.
Mhm.
And so I'm much less experienced with this than you two considerably, but my gut reaction was that maybe they had said something in that Q&A in an attempt to draw attention to themselves to get a reading, which he was then feeding off and using. It wouldn't take much because there was a couple of things that seemed a little bit too
Yeah,
specific. But we
that's not
can
a
get to that
that's
later.
not a bad call, and we don't know.
We
We're
don't
not
know.
privy to that. But if they said we're here, we're waiting, we want to hear from blah blah, that would be a huge advantage. But we don't know.
All right, so I'm ready. I've reviewed this a few times. You guys got notes. I'm excited to see what you guys think. Okay. So I do want to make clear that we all, the three of us, can see the video clearly and crisply. I am not uh obfuscating or anything like that in any way for us watching it right now. But the viewer who's watching this right now at your own home or wherever, you're going to see a blurred version. You're going to see the sitter is got their name is hidden and they've got kind of like a blur over it. So it's up to us to describe what we're seeing on the screen if there's something to see,
Yep.
because the viewer is
And
only going to get a blur.
and that is critical because what we see
Mhm.
speaks volumes, if you understand. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, Matt's very good at this. So he is watching these people intently. So, and that was part of the problem when I was looking at these by myself and trying to review them by myself, is that I was taking notes throughout. And when I'm taking notes, I'm looking down
Yeah.
and there's things happening on screen that I was just completely missing. And so it's great to have more views and more eyeballs on it when we're reviewing this. I think that'll make it easier. So I'm going to stop and start quite a bit. So you guys want to yell at me if you want to stop, but you got notes, so you should probably be able to hold off for a minute or so. The reading is only 10
About
minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not.
And the first part is pretty stop and start because of technical problem.
Yeah, technical problems, which is
Who put this in?
fascinating. I hadn't thought of this until Lara just mentioned it right now. He's going to say he's reading something in the chat. So obviously he can see the chat and read it.
Yeah.
Why not?
I hadn't
Yeah.
even thought about that until she said it right now. Never know what you're going to find. Okay, so let's go and okay, the first thing that's going to be up on the screen as people see is going to be two Australian women which was super sad. Well, almost all of these are really, really sad. So they might briefly be on the screen. This is not who our reading is going to be about right now. It's going to be about the sitter that comes after. But I like to play a little tiny bit of the sitting that came before, because he will, while they're on the screen, he will pitch the next one. And so I want to be including everything in here so that nobody thinks I'm cutting and pasting. So here we go.
Spirit, and they are safe in that peace. All right, I'm gonna leave you
Thank
guys
you.
with that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go over to Chris and Jen. I'm gonna go right there. I literally felt like somebody was pulling me, like right by my neck when I was connecting. Wait till you hear this one. The soul's overwhelming me with like all this information. And by the way, this is how I hear them and see them. As fast as I'm talking to you guys is as fast as they're talking to me. Chris, Jen, where are you right now?
We're here.
Where are you guys?
I clicked on the unmute button and it went away.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can still hear you, yes.
Can you see me?
I can't see you
I
now.
feel like I'm a dead person. Can you see me? Because that's what the dead do to me, right? Can you see me, Matt? Can you hear me, Matt?
I can hear you. I just can't see you.
Okay, so I'm going to pause real quick for you guys to describe what it is that we're seeing about the age and who are these people and that kind of thing. Because right now it's going to be a bunch of back and forth about audio and stuff. So, what is it that the audience is seeing that they can't really see?
Well, what we have here are just a middle-aged couple, presumably early to mid 50s. Nothing special. Just a guy with a beard, a woman with some blonde hair, glasses, just everyday normal folks.
Mhm. Yeah, about 50,
About it.
late
Yeah.
40s, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, I
mate.
was going to say 40s.
Yeah.
Not like that was insulting, Richard.
No.
It's hard to tell.
Well, I'm so old, everybody looks different. Anyway, no, we're guessing. You know, let's say late 40s, or something like that. Yeah,
Right. And so
That's it.
they look like a couple, they're all together and snuggly
They
and they're
look like a
American.
couple. Yep.
No accent that I'm noticing other than just American. So, nothing really to go on from there. And they've got
Yep.
mini blinds behind them and
Yeah. So it's pretty nondescript, really. I mean, from that point of view, it's just an average folks in an average sitting room, I guess.
right. Well, what Matt usually does, and this is my opinion from watching so many of his readings on these gallery readings, is I believe it's all cold, and that when he sees the person, he's making a decision: am I going to do a mystery? Am I going to do a grandparent, or am I going to do a parent? And so, looking at the ages of these people, I would have assumed he's going to start with a mystery, somebody who died in tragedy, usually. So that's
Yeah.
usually what he does when he sees somebody about this age, because at the age they appear to be, they probably have their parents still alive. They probably
Which
don't have their grandparents.
Which is interesting because that might tie into one of his early statements or questions. If I don't know if it's just slipped through or we're just about to hear it. I think we're just about to hear it because he talks about a couple of souls
Yeah.
and then he hones in on one. So the other one, whoever that might have been, presumably got fed up and
Yeah.
went to bother another psychic. I don't know.
No, I've made a note
yeah.
on that too.
Yeah.
I'm like, why, if there's a couple of souls
What
there for
happened?
them,
Yeah.
why are we only hearing from one? Like, I want to know who the other one was.
Really good point. I had not thought of that. Very
Yeah.
good. That's really interesting. Okay, sounds great. So I'm going to start it back up and let's see where we go from here. It's going to be some audio visual, but he will mention that he saw in the chat. And I believe that he's going to get some help from somebody in the chat. And I think the person he gets help from is one of our people. Because she was posting during the thing saying, I'm trying to explain to him what to do.
It might be in a tab. You guys on a computer, or it might be in a tab. Listen, me trying to be technical support.
I just went to, it just says Zoom on it now.
That's weird. Okay, we'll say. Hopefully, I come back up on your screen. But I want to get started because there's a couple souls that are here that I keep hearing of. And right away when I'm connecting, there's this young male that's here that passed that's on the other side. That first of all, I need to connect with and I need to talk to, because right away he's telling me that he passed under mysterious circumstances here in this world. So first of all, know that his soul is here and know that he's trying to come through, because he keeps telling me that there was questions that you had over his death, over what happened that day. And there's also been research done into where his whereabouts were, what he was doing, because I keep seeing about someone trying to track the phone. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense.
Are you able to see me on your screen right now or no?
No, it's just says Zoom still.
All right, let's see if we can fix that. I don't know. Can you actually see the Zoom window?
No, it's just a homepage that says Zoom. It doesn't say
What computer are you on? What, Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Somebody tell me the questions and the answers. Do you know how to fix that? Let me see. Is there something they can press on there? I don't know. Somebody says click all tabs. Somebody say all tab.
I
Did
can
you-
see it now.
Did you click it?
Yeah,
Somebody said click all tabs. Does it work?
that worked. I can see you now.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you all you guys who said that. See the cut. That's why I love having the questions and answers there. All right, so perfect. So you can see me now.
Yes.
All right, I gotta get started because he is like overwhelming me with information. First of all, I have to let you know his soul is here. The minute I'm connecting with him, he said to me that that this was a mysterious passing, and there was still questions over his passing. He did tell me that the reason why he had to come through is he's telling me that he got himself into some trouble here in the physical world. When I'm connecting with him, he's also talking about police trouble because he keeps showing me handcuffs in front of me. Do you understand that?
Yes.
He's also telling me about that he went to jail at one point or was in jail. And he's also telling me about being afraid to go back to jail. So how do you connect with that?
That's exactly what happened. With
Don't
him.
tell me another word because that's what you pay me for. And the souls tell me everything. There's the moment that he's connecting. He literally was like this, like, Matt, I'm here. Matt, I'm here. Matt, you need to tell them what actually happened when I died. So first of all, what's crazy is that he, first of all, keeps showing me this life of crime that he did not want to be in. And he's telling me when I'm connecting with him about the fact that he was trying his hardest to live a normal life, but he kept being pulled back in and pulled back in and pulled back in. And he said to me, Matt, what was so hard is that, and he's like making me upset when I'm hearing his story. He actually tells me that he went down for someone else's crime.
Yep.
And he's here tonight to clear his name. Now, I want you to know, if for everybody who's here, souls don't normally do this, meaning that souls will come through and clear their name, right? But also, if there's truth to be told, they will tell me the truth. So meaning, like, if he was responsible for something, he would tell me, Matt, I'm responsible. It was my fault. I did X, Y, and Z. But something happens that was here. And because I said to him, well, why would you be in a life of crime and you don't want to do this anymore? And he said, I went down for someone else's crime. I went down for someone else's crime. I was getting in trouble for something that I didn't do. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And because of that, when I'm connecting with him, he keeps talking about wanting to end his life here in this world. When I'm speaking to him, he just said to me about, first of all, I couldn't get away. I tried to get away. I couldn't get away. The people that I thought were there for me betrayed me. And he's also talking about, unfortunately, leaning on substances here in this world. And there were addiction issues that were there with him. So I want to let you know that I don't believe that the addiction issues were because of the fact that, you know, he was an addict. I think that this was given to him. Like, he was given to him around other people, that he was, that, you know, when I'm connecting with him, this is a very different reading than I've ever done. All I keep feeling is pressure. All I keep feeling is like everyone's looking at me, like I have to make this choice even though I don't want to. I have to do this even though I don't want to. And then all of a sudden, he thought these people were going to protect him, or he was going to be protected. And then he's going down for something that he didn't do.
Okay.
He keeps telling me in my ear, Matt, they wanted to lock me up. They wanted to lock me up.
Yeah.
So first of all, who is that to you?
Our son.
Okay.
All right, let's stop there. That's a lot, you guys.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot going on in that. And yeah.
Well, let's start with what he said near the beginning. He said, as fast as I'm talking to you guys is as fast as they're talking to me. Holy mackerel. Because he talks fast and he gives a lot of information. And watching it, what the couple are doing most of the time are nodding along because they're being told things. Not, oh, that's right, that actually happened. Which could be in some situations, or it was a similar thing to what happened. Can you acknowledge that? Do you understand that? Oh, yeah, you know, this sort of thing. And what I was saving to the end, but I think it's important we make this point now, is at no point do they ask defining questions or to refine what's being told to them. They're just accepting everything. They're, you know, sometimes you can see their eyes go back a little bit, which is thinking, oh, how does that fit? And at no point do they say, no, it didn't happen like that. Mysterious circumstances, that's a mystery. What does that mean? He talks about the phone, something about the whereabouts of the phone. Now, it doesn't go anywhere. You don't see the parents really reacting much on that. But if their son or somebody died, they're curious about it, especially the son, the phone's going to be around. Maybe they looked at it and they were nodding along with that general idea. And in the bit we just watched, you can see the progression of once he's got the general theme, he's just honed in on it, on stuff he already knows, especially when he talks about the crime and everything. And the wife is, presumably the mother is upset instantly, and they're both going on. But again, the point is, they're not questioning really, how did this happen? Who was there? What does he mean by that? Nothing. It's
what is the son's name is never mentioned.
What is the son's name? It's all Matt, you're telling us something and we're thinking about what you've just told us. Oh, that sort of makes sense. Oh, yeah, we can. it's so if this ghost is telling Matt so much information he can hardly stand it, it's pretty crummy, you know. From that point of view.
Yeah, just to go on to that, he said at the start he's overwhelming me with information, and then a little bit later, when he's sort of paraphrasing what the ghost is saying, he says, Matt, you need to tell them what actually happened when I died. And then that never actually eventuates.
And he was also angling there for a suicide.
That was another thing I've written down.
Yeah,
Like
and it didn't quite pan out because the parents didn't automatically, you know, were over emotional when he was angling for that end of, he wanted to end his life. You know, that if it was a suicide, bam, big hit. If not, he could say, well, he was in so much worry and trouble, he thought, you know, bad thoughts. And here's another really interesting thing, and I've seen this with other ones. They start to tell him something. He says, no, 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 don't tell me. You're paying me for this, you know, the spirits. Well,
what was the point in even asking?
This is an odd statement to me, because if it was a show, that's what I would expect. He's embellishing the showmanship. But if this was a true communication with grieving parents with their lost son who's talking to Matt, why would this matter?
That's a good point.
Why would this matter? Any way you could get the information back and forth. Let the parents give information if it helps, you know, with the communication to the dead. This is, to me, is like a magician saying, no, well, don't do that. I'll do this, you know. It doesn't make sense to me unless it was a show, unless this is a performance.
And the biggest moment for me so far was that we are more than halfway through the reading now, so we're about 6 minutes in, and his question to them was, first of all, who is that to you?
Yes.
And they have
absolutely.
to say it's the son. But
Why,
then
we're I mean, that's like, why is he asking?
yeah, moving forwards, he's saying that the son was referring to them as his parents. So how is he not knowing that? You would think that whether this is cold or hot, if that, well, I suppose that would be hot in that case, he would know that it was the son. That would be a piece of information he would give straight away to show that he knows what he's talking about. That to me was very strange.
And the son's name. I have your son Jeffrey here. And he wants
if Matt is being bombarded with information at a rate of tremendous speed. And he also says something which is, where is it? I made a note about it. I haven't had a reading like this before, or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't think of the same
I think
words.
he's going to alert. I think he's going to say it again.
How many hundreds and hundreds of readings have you done? And now you come across a reading which is just run of the mill, which you've never had a reading like this before? Or what is the ghost on a unicycle or something? I mean, he says that.
He could have died from falling off the unicycle. We do not know.
This is a variation of what we either call the psychic credit or the fine flattery. He's making the parents feel extra special.
Yes.
Oh, that's
true.
true.
Their emotion.
He's appealing to the emotion. It's like when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, this rash, I've never seen anything like that before. You feel pretty important. Oh, wow, I've got a rash the doctor's never seen. This, well, not me. But this is, I mean, it's really hundreds, thousands of readings, and you've never had a reading like this before. It's just flattering the parents to make them feel extra special.
You should have mentioned the unicycle.
I should have mentioned the unicycle.
Well, he should have.
That's right. He's on a unicycle. I've never had a reading like, oh, he fell off. Oh, well.
And he fell off the cliff into the ocean. out of the airplane. He was riding a unicycle on the wing of an airplane.
Yeah. Now, once Matt's established, and I still think he probably had a little bit of help along the way. He drilled down too quickly for my liking, but most of this is cold reading. That there was police and crime and, you know, not good things involved. Then he's logically brought up things like addiction.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a kid in trouble, and he might well have had issues, you know.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the parents didn't react to that much. I mean, there was a lot of things. And therefore he just did a bit of a word salad and then pivoted in a different direction.
Yeah. If you describe, can you describe what she'd look like? Because I was really watching her this time. Her face when he said, I think there were addiction issues. She went like this. She went like this.
Yeah, and or sometimes there's a slight nod, thinking, "Yeah, is that it?" It's not the obvious reaction to if the son sadly died of heroin overdose or something, then it would be a big, big gasping
She's giving a
moment.
much bigger reaction
Yeah,
to other
yeah.
things because she's
Yeah,
obviously a bit
I
surprised
am
that
not caught positive
that.
the kid had addiction issues.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. The quote is, "This is a very different reading than I have ever done."
And he's going
No,
to say it again. He's going to say,
it's
this is
just
the
same
most that
sort
I
of
could
thing.
give to you, or something like that. The most
Yeah.
important thing I can tell you, or something like that.
And there's a wonderful bit of theatrics there when they say it's our son. Matt is quiet and pause and say, "Oh my goodness me, it's their son." Really? He didn't bother to mention that,
Or
It's
yeah,
dramatics. It's he's a showman. When I stand in front of an audience and I'm talking about this sort of thing, there's showmanship involved. Now, when you're doing this sort of routine, there is showmanship involved.
I
And
think it's all a
that's what
show. Down to his hand gestures that are
Mhm.
always
Yeah.
practiced, and you can see him do the same kind of thing each time, to the clothing he wears. It's always muted browns, grays, and blacks, to
Yeah.
the visuals behind him. This guy is a performer. That's all it
Yeah.
is. This is a
Yeah.
performance.
He's very
It's
good at it.
He's good
amazing.
at it. Now he's established it's the son, and he could have known by notes. Sure, why not? And it's most likely the son because it's the middle-aged couple. The rest of the conversation now from the ghost is clear. The ghost is not shy anymore about who he is, and we'll
Mhm.
see that.
Right. And it's interesting that at this point, we still don't know how he died.
No,
No,
No idea. I don't think we're going to find out how he
no,
died.
we don't.
We don't know who he is. A name, how old he was. He's old enough to have gone to jail, but so he
presumably.
must have been 16 or higher whenever he
Well,
was in
a
trouble.
lot of the
I mean,
trouble.
that's not even really confirmed, is it?
No, a lot of the
Because
trouble is they don't really confirm a hell of a
because
lot.
he with
You
the
know?
jail part, he was vague. He was like,
Yeah.
he was either in jail
Jail,
or worried about going to
or
jail.
something like
So
that.
even if he was
And-
a
and-
child age, then
and-
he could still be concerned about it for the future.
And the parents never really correct him. They just sit there and they listen and absorb and nod and have a bit of emotion sometimes. They're never saying, "No, that didn't happen. No, well, it wasn't quite like that." No, it's they're not interested. They just want to hear what Matt has to say. So they're not interested in being skeptical or critical or, "Hey son, where did you lose where's the key to
What's the
locker?"
password to Netflix? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which
right.
is understandable. They're grieving
They're
parents.
grieving parents.
They're
Yeah. But we
they're
don't blame them. They're
cleaning up,
victims in
not
this.
at all. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go on.
Let's go on.
This is great. I love this.
This is the hardest reading that I think I ever gonna do for the two of you, because first of all, your son knows that you fought for justice for him. He knows how upset you are. He knows that you were the one that actually uncovered the truth, going back through his phone, looking back through things, trying to figure things out. And first of all, I want you to know that when I'm connecting with your son, he just said to me, "I want to let my parents know that I'm sorry for not telling them everything when I was here." Because he's showing me that after he had died, there were all of these things that you had uncovered, all of these things that you found out about his life, right? Things that he was hiding, things that he wasn't telling you after he had passed away. I need you to know that your son just showed me the vision of the Christmas tree and saying, like, I want them to celebrate. I want them to put the tree up, because he talks about you not wanting to celebrate Christmas or do holidays or do any of these things. And that's why he had to come through right now. It's really hard because he's also showing me that there's two parts of your grief. There's this grief of losing your son and your son's not here. But then there's also this grief of what you think the world thinks about him, right? That there was like this image of him that's here. And you're like, this is not my son.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
So I need you to know this. Your son became the villain in this story. I don't know what happened. I don't know all the details, but I'm just repeating word after word what he's telling me. And he said to me, they made me the villain. They made me the villain. I didn't want to do this, all these things. And all I can tell you is this, is that one, you need to know that he made it to heaven. Two, that he's at peace. Three, that he was not really this person. So I want you to know that for him to come through right now and to share these words with you, it's because, like I said, you feel like you're not able to grieve because of the fact that everybody sees your son as a different person. They see him in a different light. And because so many people made him the villain, he said to me, it doesn't matter. My soul is at peace, despite what people say, despite what was talked about, despite what was said. And your son said to me, the one thing that he wants to say that he's sorry to you for is forever getting into trouble, forever getting involved with the wrong people.
Which
Okay.
were.
So I need you to know.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there for the moment because we've got a little bit left to go.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I was just pointing to a note I made earlier, showing Lara here. I'm okay and I love you. That is basically 99% of the messages at the end of a psychic reading anybody gets, a mediumship reading. They want you to know they're up there in heaven eating their chocolate cake and they love you and they're watching over you. Next, they want you to know they're up there in heaven, they're fishing and everything's fine. Look at the fish they caught and they love you. Next, they want you to know that everything's fine, they forgive you and everything's fine. Next, you
Yeah.
know, this is it's stock standard, and a lot of what you just heard then were variations of Barnum statements, just
Yep.
platitudes and feel good things and gleaning things from what was said before, appealing to the emotions of the parents who love their kid, their boy, regardless.
Mhm.
So of course they're going to want to think the best, even if he had a bad time and had trouble in his life. They want to know that the son is looking after them or looking over them and what is very sorry for what he did. What did he do?
Yeah.
The son doesn't bother with those details.
No, because yeah, to quote Matt again, I don't know what happened. I don't know all the details. But
Why?
5 minutes before, he said, he's overwhelming me with information. You need to tell them what actually happened when I died.
Right.
But all of a sudden, he doesn't know
All of a
what
sudden.
happened. Like,
It was the
Good point.
unfortunate, the unicycle.
The
They don't want-
unicycle that fell off the airplane wing.
No, not to, you know, I'm now I feel guilty. I'm being mean to these poor parents because they're the victims, as we say in
Well,
this.
of course, but it's just
Matt should
deadpan
have.
humor. Deadpan
What's
humor.
Matt playing at? You know.
What was it? Didn't we just say Matt says this is the most important, or this is the most.
Oh,
So he said it
he's-
right as I started the video again. He said it a second time,
yeah.
but he said to you. He said this will be the most important thing.
this is
I
the
can say to
hardest
you."
reading. This is
I
the
can say
hardest
to
reading
you.
that I think I'm ever going to give to the two of you.
Which
Yeah.
what does that mean? He's telling the parents things they want to hear, like their son is happy and forgives them, or he wants their forgiveness. And this is the hardest reading? Huh?
And that they're grieving and that
And
they
they're-
should still celebrate Christmas.
Christmas.
Like, there's nothing
It doesn't
there.
make sense, yeah.
Yeah, this was recorded November 26th, 2025. So it's right before Christmas.
And we don't
So-
know how long the son was dead.
Yeah, we
No.
don't. And I still think that it's maybe in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it feels very
Yes,
fresh.
It does. And again, there's just not every now and then you see some emotion reactions from the parents, but a lot of it is this slight nod when you're just listening to what somebody is saying. And the nod is, I hear what you're saying and I'm processing it. It's not, oh, goodness, you're right. He did, etc.
Nothing exaggerated. No major hits.
So far, I mean, from a theatrical point of view and from the victim's point of view, this is, you know, it's a good reading. From a point of view from us who know how it works is pretty underwhelming. But I'll give him credit. He's doing a good performance in that regard.
Oh yeah. I've seen, so many of his readings, and he brings up the Christmas thing constantly. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm investigating another psychic, and I have a whole series of her saying the same thing. I think it's common for the psychics to say they want you to start celebrating again. I know you've been putting it off, and whatever holidays coming up, especially Christmas.
It's just making the sitter feel good.
But this is
Something.
advice you would give anybody, a friend who's grieving. You'd say, well, we have to carry on with life, and
Maybe you'll
it's
feel
okay.
better. Put up the
Yeah,
tree in remembrance of
yeah.
him, or whatever, just to feel
But
better.
did you notice now he knows for sure, or he probably did before, we don't know, that it's the son, then everything is the gushing information is he's the son, he's the son, he's the son. Well, why couldn't he say that before if he's being bombarded with
Had to
information?
ask.
That's
Yeah.
why I think he didn't know it was
Yeah.
his son. But
Possibly so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, ultimately, these are all just our educated
yeah,
guesses and analysis. We don't know all the behind the scenes things, but so far, it's um, it's very much a typical cold reading with what I suspect was a little bit of help.
Well, okay. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I think this is the last part, right? What else is to come up? Let me see if I'm looking on my, let me
not
look at
much
my
else.
Not
notes.
much.
Bit of waffle.
Bit of waffle. Yeah.
He's got to do more platitudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he always ends the readings with platitudes. Let me catch up to where I'm at on this because I got the transcript here also.
There we go.
And yeah, he's almost done. He's almost done. He's got like a couple paragraphs to go, right?
Yep.
Nearly there.
Okay. All right. Let's see where we go next. Oops, I got the wrong sharing the transcript.
That looked like the right thing to us.
Yeah, well, it was a transcript, not the video.
Okay.
No, I did it again.
We can see the video.
That's the video.
No, there's a little tiny piece of video.
No,
For
we
us, it was the
see the
video.
screen.
It
Oh,
must
was
be
it?
Yeah. Can we
Oh,
ask
well-
Matt for some technical help here, please? Matt?
Press all tab.
For them tonight.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. I'm gonna leave you with that. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, but to the bottom where he says that.
And then also at the same
Good point.
Literally, your son was like pushing everybody out the way, like I need to come through for my parents.
At the
But he
beginning,
didn't apparently know that it was
it was
even
his
their
son.
son.
So he slipped up there. It was just
Well, he knows they're not going to remember it. He knows
No.
they're not
Yeah.
paying attention that close.
Yeah.
Only us people
Yeah.
spending New Year's
Now,
Eve or New Year's
an
Day
uncharitable
are going to pay attention to this.
an uncharitable person would say Matt was just making that up on the spot. But
I
Who
think
knows?
who knows?
I think
Now,
he
I have a
did.
question. So, going back to the start of that third bit, where he says he's here right now to say that to you because he tells me that you prayed for his soul every night and that you were so scared that he wasn't going to come through or that he wasn't going to speak to you because you were like, oh my God, what if he didn't make it to heaven? What if he's in a different place? What if his soul is stuck somewhere?
And she's
I
nodding all the
found
time.
that quite specific. Yeah. I mean, I found that too specific. I feel like that could have been triggered by a Q&A comment in terms of like not thinking that his soul was in the right place. Or am I just,
Although
I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
initially my thought on that would be it's probably something he's used before because if he's speaking to religious people, that would ring a chord.
Yeah, I would have thought if I had seen a cross
Well,
or something like that.
no, it's playing the numbers.
Yeah.
So
A lot of
okay.
people he would read for would be religious,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
of a superstitious belief system in one regard, because a lot of people are religious. It's just numbers. It's just numbers. So yeah,
And going to psychics.
Yeah.
and they're sitting in
much
front
more
of a
likely.
psychic.
They believe in a
Yeah.
life after death.
Yes,
So
definitely.
obviously they're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty generic, Lara. He said, and that you were so scared he wasn't going to come through. I've seen him say stuff like that too. Or that he wasn't going to speak to you because you were like, oh, what if he didn't make it to heaven? Yeah, I've seen him say that kind of thing to other parents before. See, I have the knowledge of being able to know that, whereas you, who are
Yes.
relatively new at this,
Yeah.
it's a different perspective. And that's why I want to hear other people's opinions of what these readings are like. But to these sitters who are watching this, they're not, it feels brand new. Like
Yeah.
everything
Oh,
is
People don't sit around like us analyzing readings.
oh no. Nobody's recording this. I mean,
Don't do it. It's a rabbit hole.
have a life, people.
Get a
Don't
life,
be like
yes.
me. Oh my gosh.
Play
You know,
games on the computer, just anything.
solitaire. So yeah, okay. What else do you have? Because I have a very little bit on this one, but I want to hear what you think.
I
I mean,
mean,
there was just things that didn't make sense to me. I'm not in the
Yeah.
same pain. I'm not in the same hurt. I'm not in the same place as when I left this world. I don't really know what any of that means. It just seems like a kind of emotional word salad.
yes, it is an emotional world. So
There we go.
I'm at peace. I'm happy. The fishing's good.
Yeah.
I'm looking over. I've heard this.
Yeah.
At a psychic reading at a stage show. Talking to an elderly woman, said, "Your dad's happy. What did he like fishing? Oh, he did. Well, he's telling me now he's catching the biggest fish he's ever caught.
It's
Yeah.
just so incredibly vague. You could literally tag that
Yeah.
onto the end of any
Yeah.
of these and it would still
Yeah.
feel like it fit. Yeah, okay.
What happened to that other soul?
Well,
Exactly.
let's get back to that, because if it was purely a cold reading, then he's got two strands, because he says there are two souls. Now, if the son had completely failed, and it would happen to be the mother or the aunt or something else, he would have, the son or the male energy or whatever he wants to say would have soon been forgotten, like all the other things he said that were pushed aside, and he would have said, "No, maybe it's who are you? It's the female energy."
It's just giving himself options.
He could have been giving himself options. It's odd he said two and never mentioned them again. From then on, it was, your son is coming through so strong and he's giving me all this information. Again, the other soul must have got discouraged and sort of
Well,
skulked
he was
off.
pushy. He said he was pushing
Yes.
through.
Pushy. Maybe he pushed the other soul out of the way. That's
I
right.
think it's a tick, actually, to be honest with you. He almost always says there are two souls coming
All
through.
right. All right.
I think it's just, I honestly think he's on autopilot.
Oh, when you do this again and again and again, you'd
I think
have
he is. Yeah,
So-
I think he's not even, I think he's thinking of something else. I think he's like a comedian who's done the same act so many times, or a magician.
Yeah.
He's not even thinking, because he
Yeah,
says that
what-
same phrase every time.
But he speaks, he says a lot and a lot quickly, and that's a lot to take in. So a lot of the time people are just going to nod as they're thinking, and they're hearing something else, and then they're thinking, and he's hearing, he's giving so much information. Again, watching that, it's not like they're critical or questioning or coming back with anything. Oh, can you tell our son that the washing's, he didn't do his washing, and where's the key, and all this sort of crazy stuff that you would, if you were put in touch with someone who is dead, why would you just sit there and nod and listen and say, yeah? You'd want to have a chat with them. You'd want to talk to them. You want to
Well,
say,
we would,
"You
you and
tell them
I
this and see," yeah.
I don't know.
Can
These
you
are
tell
grieving
our
parents.
son
These
this,
are
this, and
grieving
this?
parents. Who knows what they're thinking? They may
Who
just
knows?
know.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah.
But they agreed. I mean, the ultimate problem is we actually don't know what did happen to the son. So
Yeah.
this is a little bit tricky from that perspective. But they did agree that it was mysterious circumstances. They seemed to agree on that at the start. But then that never ever, if it was genuinely mysterious, why are they not asking questions?
No
And-
mystery was solved. Oh, no, there was a mystery solved. He covered up for somebody else. He took the blame for it.
Yeah, but
that was-
they
that
already
does-
said they knew that, because
It
he said
doesn't
something
mean-
about the fact that they uncovered the truth, and she was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So we don't know how the son died. I don't think it was suicide by the reactions. It could have been a car crash. It could have been an unfortunate
It could have been anything.
murder. Yeah, we just don't know. And the son apparently didn't know either, because he wasn't forthcoming with that information.
I tell you, okay, so I'm gonna look at my notes here that you guys didn't cover. It was very important to these parents, and I think that Matt just pulled into this because he knows these are parents, and it was very important what the world thinks of him. That I think we got a lot of
Yes.
emotion out of the mother whenever he said that
Yeah.
you know your son, you loved your son, and the world thinks this thing of him. So it's very hard for you guys to grieve because they have a different opinion of what your son is like.
Yeah.
And I think that really
I
hit
feel
him.
like that would be any if this is a teenager, which is kind of I think what I'm visualizing in my
Mhm.
head. They're clearly not an angel in that sense of the word. They've clearly done a few
They've had
things that they're less than proud of. You're automatically going to be concerned about what friends and family are thinking. It questions your ability to parent. So that to me is all. You could say that to any. As soon as you know that there's something where the son had got in trouble, then all of that is just standard. That's not a stretch at all.
Yeah, and he's playing to the parents' emotions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your son was actually okay, and he was very sorry for what he did. Oh,
Right.
Sorry that he didn't tell you everything. Like
Yeah.
what teenage boy tells their parents everything? None of them.
None.
and this whole thing about the phone, as I said before, yeah, it's likely that after the death of, let's presume, a teenage son, and the phone's there, they might want to look at the phone for some reason or another.
Absolutely. Who was it who was selling drugs with, or who was it who
But
was giving drugs to him, or
This
who was
thing,
everything?
there was earlier reference to tracking the phone, which I thought I didn't quite get that, but there wasn't much from the parents to confirm that
No.
what that meant, tracking the phone. Of the
he
phone.
said that it was used to help figure out what had happened to him by tracking the phone.
I'm not exactly sure what that means, because if I think tracking, I'm looking for it, tracking its journey, or does tracking mean looking at the contents? I'm not exactly sure what he was getting at
I
there.
think that's exactly the point. It means
Yeah, I think he was
whatever.
sure.
It's generic. He okay, so I always think of what's missing that should be there. What if that's where my mind goes almost always. So what is missing in this reading is obviously the cause of death, son's name, any of those kinds of things. But here's the son. He's got a chance to talk to his parents. He wants to make good on it, and he's telling them that he's proud of him or whatever. And I'm clearing my name, but he never at any point has a message for any other sibling. Maybe the son had a girlfriend or a boyfriend. No message for them. No message for a grandparent or anybody he loved. He's got this one opportunity to talk to his parents. So why is he not saying, oh, and by the way,
And by the way,
my teacher that was my mentor, who was always encouraging me, can you please reach out to Mrs. Bombardier and tell her, I should have listened to her. She was a good person, or a pastor, or a girlfriend, or whatever. But
yeah.
there's nothing. There's no mention to.
What,
It's just
what,
those two people on the couch, and that's it. No other sibling.
Well, the psychic game, the medium game, is like the faith healing game. It's the ultimate pass the buck, because all they have to say is, I can only tell the parents what I'm being told. And if the ghost doesn't want to say this, or the ghost is unclear about, it's not my fault. It's the ghost. This is the information that they feel is important to tell at the moment. It's the faith healers will say, you're healed by the power of God. And if the person isn't healed, they all say, well, it's not me, it's God who didn't, blame God, or blame yourself for not believing enough. I'm
Right.
just the vessel.
You're not
You know,
donating enough.
you're not donating enough. It's sometimes you're skeptical, sometimes you're cynical.
Yeah. Well, I would have thought that he would have said, thanks, and tell my little brother to, whatever. He needs to straighten
Yeah.
up, because I could see he's starting to go down the same path, or
Or
of the
something.
sort. Something, yeah.
Or
At
something.
least, hey, say hi to my siblings for me, or something like that. But we don't know.
Yeah.
And
I mean, almost the whole of the second half is just reassuring the parents that he was actually sorry
Yeah.
and a good kid after all, and they should
There's
carry on.
nothing there. Yeah.
There's just nothing there.
exactly, and there's possibility he's a teenage son of theirs, at least. I'm with Laura. I think he's a teenager.
Probably. Yeah.
What if he had a child? No message for that baby?
What? Yeah. What if? Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah, but that's the parents aren't saying anything, but the parents never say anything. They never do. I've watched tons and tons of his readings, lots of psychics, and they never say, like, if they're saying, I think I'm getting one, is this your uncle? And they say, well, I had two dead uncles. Which one? They
No.
never push back
No,
that
no,
way. They
no.
never question.
No,
But
no.
and I watched a Matt Fraser reading early on in October, and it was a woman and her fiance's mother, and the person who comes through is the fiance. And then almost all the way through the reading, then you see the mother, the fiance, the daughter, whatever, she's off screen, and you can see her going like this, like, and you could hear a baby crying. And so it's like this, and they know that her son has only been dead. I think it was a guy in the military. I think the guy had only been dead a few months, but there's clearly an infant child right there, and Matt doesn't mention it at all, ever. But it's like, it's clearly that child is
Yeah.
but he won't mention it because he could get it wrong. I mean, she could have been babysitting or something, but still,
well, yeah.
you would think that the parents, in the situation I'm talking about, they're sitting here crying and talking to Matt like no big deal, but at no point do they say, yeah, but what about his daughter who's right here? What message is he seeing her? Is he?
Yeah, in the one we just watched, I mean, I can't speak for the parents, of course, but I would be saying, oh, okay, we've got a communication with the dead son. Son, was it really the case that happened?
I was told the coroner's report said this, that you
Yeah.
had,
This is true.
you are
Yeah.
the one that steered into the tree.
Or
Were
something,
you really
whatever.
the one who steered into the tree on purpose, or were you just distracted by something?
Yeah.
You know,
If this is a legal thing and there's police involved, you would have questions.
And what does the son say? Oh,
I don't want to talk about that.
very sorry. I'm very sorry. I was bad. I'm
Channel is
peace out.
changing. I want to talk
And
about a dog
and
now.
I'm an angel now, or something, looking
Special
after you.
angel.
Special angel looking after you, or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at the absurdity of it. I'm not laughing at these parents. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No, it was very sad to watch.
Again,
Yeah.
as we say, don't blame the victims. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing that really the quote that I came up with. This is what bugs me, and you guys probably will know this intuitively, that when people talk to the dad like this, when they have these readings, we say, oh, la di da, okay, they're adults, they're getting the reading, they're having a good cry, they feel like it helps them. But what we know is actually going on is that the memory of that person is now being rewritten. So the parents are going to have a completely different impression of their son now than they had before the reading. And this line that Matt says, he says that the real me is that the real me is the me that's coming through right now.
Yeah.
In other words, all you knew of me before is not correct. I am the real me now. So in other words, rewrite your memories, mom and dad, because everything that you knew all of my life, that's not true. So what Matt is saying, that's the truth. And that really hurts me.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah.
You have no business giving them those kinds of things.
No, but there you go. It happens.
Right. Okay. So the other question I have for you guys, and this is just your opinion. Did the parents, okay, because I told you, Matt, watching all these readings, I know he either starts with parent, grandparent, or a mystery person. And if it's a person in their 40s or younger, it's almost always mystery person. So he started off with a mystery, which is what I would have predicted if I didn't have never seen this reading before and I just saw a picture of what those parents look like, I would have said a mystery. And he did start with a mystery. So when he says, I'm getting a mystery person, a couple souls coming through, and he starts to lead a little bit on, he's watching the people's faces and stuff. They got to decide who the mystery person was. So did the parents come to this reading to watch because they wanted to hear from their son? Or did somebody else, or were they there because they wanted to hear from a mother, a brother, or something?
I strongly suspect, and we don't know, of course, I strongly suspect they were there to hear from the son.
But I mean, we don't know. There could have
But
been,
we
there
don't
could
know.
be more than,
Yeah.
Because
you know,
they
there could be
steered
a
it to
dead
their
parent as
son.
well.
They steered it that way. When Matt starts making
They steered it that way. Yeah, they did. And of course, he had another soul, spirit, ghost up his sleeve he could pull out,
Mhm.
which could be a female or something else like that.
Yeah.
So
But-
either multiple or certainly
Yeah.
this one.
Because
But
that
especially if
fits.
he had a bit of help, if he had something along the line saying, here are the couple, they're next on your list and they're worried about their son or something like that. That would have given him a lot of head start. We don't know.
I
don't
still
know.
think that is completely cold. I'm not seeing put it this way, I am not seeing anything in this that made me think that he had any information, because all the words he said from the very, very beginning were, what was the very first line where he says, after they get finished with it, I'm seeing somebody coming through. So I should have had this highlighted, but
The bit,
Did you see
right
it?
at the very start?
yeah, okay, he says a mystery. What is the words he says about the mystery?
So he says, I need to connect with, first of all, I need to connect with, and I need to talk to, because right away he's telling me that he passed under mysterious circumstances.
So we know it's a male.
So yeah, I'll go back a little bit more. It says,
Okay.
and right away when I'm connecting, there's this young male that's here that passed, that's on the other side, etc., etc. He passed under mysterious circumstances here in this world.
Okay, so he's the one who said mystery, but he did say young male.
Yeah.
Yes.
To me, that's just a little quick, but sure, it could have been it could have been him just hitting the right path to go down. Again, if he didn't hit that path, he would have gone down another path.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've seen Matt do this many times where he'll say a young male. It's almost always a young male, almost never a young female. I guess on
Interesting.
average, young males are more going to have more risky behaviors, more likely
Yep.
to die young than a female, I guess. Just law of averages, I guess. And so, and also military reasons, somebody would die young because they were in a war or in
Poss-
whatever.
Possibly.
It's more
Yeah,
likely if you,
you're playing the averages, yeah.
yeah. So if
But
you,
again, the parents didn't correct him or at all during the whole reading, so we don't know how many of the things he said were on the money or too vague or sort of right or made them think. We don't know because they weren't.
Because when he started, when the dad started to say, yes, you're exactly right, he was going to say something else, but Matt cut him off and said, nope,
Don't tell me.
I'll take, yeah.
don't
So
tell
we
me
don't,
anything, it
we
might
don't know
prove
what
me
that thing was going
wrong.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what happens. He said, because I have seen Matt say to people, I'm getting a young man who died under mysterious circumstances, and the person has no idea who he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he'll go on for a minute or so trying to fit it, and they still don't know who he's talking about. And Matt will just go to the next person. Oh, I don't think
Yeah.
I'm with the right person. I don't think I'm with the right sitter. And then boom, he's on to the next sitting. And you're like, well, what? And all it could have all been covered. It could have all been done if Matt had just said, I'm getting a young man who passed tragically, and his name is Philip.
And he's been in trouble. He said all these things at the beginning.
And he says
Yeah.
he's your son, or he says he was your
Yeah.
boyfriend
Well,
in high
since
school or
Matt
something.
was being bombarded with information. It's surprising that how little he was able to articulate.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I think I got everything on my thing. But
Yeah.
the question I ask everybody whenever I'm done analyzing one of these is, so from the perspective of the parents that are sitting on that couch, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call their close family member or loved one or whatever, and they're going to say something to them. I just had this reading with Matt Fraser, and you're not going to believe what happened. And they're going to say it in such a way that it is not what Matt said.
Oh yeah, they'll say, and Matt knew this, and Matt knew this, and Matt knew this, and Matt knew this. This is what we find all the time because
Because whilst he was throwing out some of those things that were a little bit vague, or he was kind of hitting multiple possibilities with them, the parents have then fit that into their head with what actually happened. And so that's the thing that they're going to remember. Well, he knew this and he knew that. Yeah,
yeah,
And they might even say he said his name
possibly.
possibly people do that sort of
because
thing.
they're
Yeah.
going to remember it differently than what actually happened.
Yeah.
And then all those people they tell it to are going to go,
But
gosh, this
that's how
Matt
our brains
Fraser is
work.
amazing.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's how our brains work. That's just humans.
But we should know that we're going to do that with our brains, especially since they're not recording this. They're just relying on their memory
Yeah.
after the fact of this thing.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to make us watch any more of these, Susan?
Yeah, if you have to volunteer, I'm not going to, you're a little too far for me to be able to put my hand. I've got so many to go through. Yeah, I'm enjoying.
There's another one that I'm curious for Richard to have a look at and see if he wants
Okay,
to.
well,
so
you
I'll let
find
know.
it and we'll set it
Yeah.
up. That's fine with me. Do you have any other impressions after now that we've analyzed this as well? Because I want to say that when there was another guy named Paul who was watching all of the Matt Fraser stuff at the same time I was. And when he got off of this, because Matt did 9 readings that day. So when we ended the session of watching 9 readings, Paul said, this one, exactly the same one you did, was hot reading. And I said, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
And he said, no, that was hot reading. All the others were cold, but this
Yeah.
one was specific. And I said, I didn't get that, but he's also very inexperienced at watching this. And he felt that this is the most convincing of all of the 9 he watched that day. And I thought that was interesting because you were also saying the same kind of thing, that you thought it was.
Yeah. I look.
Until you went back and looked at it in detail.
We keep saying we can't know, but it appears to me that the path he went down was a little too quick and too sure initially. I think it's possible that he had a little bit of pre-knowledge, even if it was just the fact that it was a son. And then
No, but he didn't
used
know
that.
it was a son. They had to
But
tell
we don't
him.
know that.
Well, he would have said, "This is your son is here," if he knew it
We
was a
don't know
son.
that. We don't know that.
No,
Come
but
on, Laura, what do you think?
think that he
You would think,
you
but
would
we
think that
but
he
we
would.
don't know that.
Because that would be a
But
big
would make
hit.
himself look better.
It would have been a big hit if he had said, "I want you to know that your son is here with you."
Yeah, but then he
Because
would
he
make
didn't. He went with
the dead.
mystery.
But he again, we're speculating. He could be a bit more clever than that because
Oh,
he's
come
not making.
on. Oh,
But
come on, Richard.
he's
Come on
not making.
now.
He's not making the mistake I've seen psychics make where they're too clever. They're too quick. They name the thing too quickly. Too quickly. The thing, which is a dead giveaway.
Yes,
We
but
are.
it's a son.
We can. Yeah, but we could without knowing, this is all just guesswork on our part. This is what I think probably could have happened. It may be that was purely cold reading. We don't know, but I think there's a chance that he could have at least known a little bit to get him going.
Well, we agree on so many things normally, Richard.
Yeah.
I'm happy to
Yeah,
disagree
well,
with
the
you
only
on
thing
this
we
one.
don't, I mean, the only thing we can completely agree on, of course, he wasn't hearing ghosts. This is a mechanism. This is a routine. Yeah. He wasn't hearing from ghosts. I mean, I think we can be pretty sure about that.
I think
And
so.
I
The
mean,
details, we argue it anyway.
I have my suspicions that they maybe typed something into the Q&A because I feel like if it was me, and I haven't been in their situation, so I can't, I'm just speculating, but I feel like if it was me and that, there's this small chance that you might get pulled up for a reading, that you might want to type something into the chat to make yourself stand out a little bit. So that they could have easily typed a couple of sentences in saying, hey, trying to connect with. I mean, they obviously didn't say son, because I still think if they had said that, he would have said that. But said something about a soul that they were trying to connect with because they were worried and they'd been praying and something, which would have then triggered a few of the comments. Which bit are you after?
Just the top again. We're just looking at a transcript. You think this is easy, people out there? I mean, this takes hours and hours of analyzing and
And
thinking
hours
about,
to discuss it and
yeah.
argue.
Mouse is there.
Anyway, but it's interesting looking back at the early part. He was saying, "Who could this be? Who could this be?" And
It's a
then by the later
mystery.
part, and it's a mystery. And by the later part, he's saying, "He is so strong. He's pushing everybody aside. He's telling me all this information." Oh, really?
Telling me he wants to speak to his
Yeah,
parents.
telling you wants to speak to his parents.
Mhm.
So we quibble over the fine points, but there's no doubt this is a performance.
Right. And as we watch more and more of these kinds of readings, you will see more and more similarities, and it feels more you will see the pattern better, and you'll see it as a performance, which is exactly what I think it is. He's a performer. He could have done sales. He could have been a magician. He just didn't have the skills. He's got
Yeah.
the wordplay stuff down.
Right, very early on, he says, and right away I'm connecting. There's a young male that's passed. I mean, he's established there's a young male pretty early on. The only thing he threw away was the other ghost.
But I mean, as limited as my experience is watching his videos, I've seen him make accusations like that, say it's a young male or something else.
Yeah, it's very
and then
common.
that hasn't landed, and they've really had to think to themselves,
Mhm.
do I
And
have
then he
something
moves to
like
the
that?
grandparent, or he moves to something
could
else,
just be
or he
complete
skips the
luck.
sitting.
Yeah.
And most people have a young male somewhere. I mean, if you're in your 50s, you've got somebody you could pull on that was a young male. And if it doesn't seem to have a real huge emotional attraction to you, then they move on. I mean,
Yeah.
it could have been somebody from high school. It could have
Yeah.
been anything, or somebody they grew up with in the neighborhood, because a young male is just,
I
I
just
mean, he
keep
was
thinking
young.
this other spirit who wanted to say something and couldn't get a word in, and just walked away dejected.
I just did one yesterday where that happened. The father said, "Why wasn't he coming through?" And he says, "Because they wouldn't let me talk. They kept
Oh.
talking over me." And he
There you go.
finally got a chance to say something. That's why he came in at the end of the reading, because the other spirits allowed him to.
Rude.
Just
After
it's
the
like
dad had
what-
asked.
it's just imaginary world that these people live in. I just don't get it, but but the parents are grieving. So you wanted to say, Richard, at the very end about the motivated sitter. That was
Oh
you
yeah,
said, I
well,
want to really talk about
just
that.
again, just to reiterate the point that when people have a psychic reading, they don't go because they're skeptical or they're trying to really find out what's going on. They're going there to hear from the dead. That's why they pay their money and they line up and they're in the queue and they go to the whatever, because they have already to largely convinced that when they do this, they're going to be getting a service which is hearing from the dead. So, and they will make it work for them. That's why cold reading works so well, because when the psychic says this, this, and this, the motivated sitter will make it fit, will make it work,
Mhm.
will try desperately to put it together. So because that's what they think is happening. That's, yeah. I'm a motivated skeptic, you see.
And we're going to be seeing you in 6 months.
Yeah, in New York, and then I'm going to be swinging by Berkeley to take part in Skeptical for the local skeptics in
I
Berkeley.
saw that. That's in August.
No, that's about 2 weeks after the conference in New York, I think.
Is that right? So we're going to be at SciCon, where you're going to be a
SciCon.
speaker. They're flying you all the way from Australia to put you up and hear from you. I'm really excited. Oh, and you also have an article, don't you? And
Yes.
the newest Skeptical Inquirer, don't you?
Did you know I won an award? Did anybody tell
I
you that?
hear that there something about what was that about? Lara, do you know anything about an award that Richard
I
might have
heard
won?
something.
The rumor.
I heard
No.
something.
A ghost told me apparently.
A ghost told you? Yeah. So you are the Richard Saunders, and you get to be on the main stage on one of the days. I don't know which day it is.
A definite
Yes.
article.
Oh yeah, you're in one of the big print on page 45 in this newest issue. And there's also, I don't think you can get it online. I believe it's a magazine only. Right?
Yeah.
They might
I think
release it later.
one's being posted to me, but to the skeptic's mailbox.
Yeah.
This one right here, it says, I can't read it backwards. What was
Now,
it?
I seem to think I know who took that photograph.
And underneath it says my name. I do remember that. And we were in New Zealand speaking at a conference together. Photo taken by Susan
2017.
Gerbic, and you were deadly ill and you still look terrific.
That's right. Yeah, I
What
had
would
the
the
flu,
world look
yeah.
like without the modern skeptical movement by Richard Saunders?
Nice.
And I loved reading it. So, well done, Richard.
Thank you.
Well, I look
We're
forward
talking to the OG here, the OG.
original.
Yes.
Is that
Apparently,
not
but people keep telling me I'm a goat, so I'll just take that in the nice way.
is not a phrase in Australia? The
I
OG?
mean, that's just Richard.
Oh,
I
it's
just have
just
to
Richard.
translate
Because
sometimes.
he's the OG. Because he's the OG. So he hasn't. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for
Thank
giving
you
up your New Year's Day. I really appreciate this.
It's greetings from 2026.
Yeah, so I feel great about talking to people from the other time zone because it makes me feel like I know we survived to that far.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever it is, whatever it is, I can say, I know at least that the next day exists because some people are living it already.
Yes.
And you'll be there in about 12 hours.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of noisemakers I've got set aside because I usually go out on my porch and wake up my neighbors. I've been bugging them, telling them I'm going to go. One lady, I said, I'm going to be under your bedroom window with all the loud makers as possible. And she's like, gee, thanks, Susan. I really appreciate that. I'm like, I know. I care so much about you that I will be waking you up at midnight with as much noise as I possibly can. So
Yeah.
I live in a very quiet neighborhood. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for
Alright.
being with me.
Bye from Parallax Studios here in Sydney, Australia.
Bye.